This is probably why I was never popular really on Instagram. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Mandy, the Handmade Homeschooler. Today we're going to be talking about unpopular things that I let my kids do, and just unpopular things in general that I do in my homeschool that people are always kind of questioning me about. I don't know, I guess I just kind of do my own thing, and sometimes people on the internet are super weird about it, but I don't know. If it works for us, it works for us. So this is probably why I was never popular really on Instagram, but I choose function over aesthetics. I know, it's like we all want to have that Pinterest classroom, I guess. Like we all want that beautiful Pinterest space. But look, number one, I'm not an interior decorator, and I never have been. And number two, I just happen to like function over looks. Look, the aesthetic is great, but I've noticed with a lot of classrooms and in class like homeschool setups and things like that, I'll look at that on Pinterest or Instagram and I'll just say to myself, like, it's beautiful, but I don't see how that would function well for me in the way that I work. I feel like it would just be a disaster. So I set my classroom up, or my homeschool space up, in a lot of the same ways that I set up things when I was a school teacher. And not because I'm trying to bring the public school into my house, which is what I always get accused of online, which is just, it's silly. It's just silly. No, I'm not trying to bring my classroom home with me. I'm trying to make it functional, and because I worked in a classroom for so long, I know what I work well with, and I know how my kids work and what works well for them, and that type of system works well for us. So when I get accused of that online, I usually kind of just laugh and delete it, because it's just, I don't know, like people think that like I have to have like this farmhouse style table and we have to be all working at the kitchen table or it doesn't count as homeschool. You know, heaven forbid the kids have their own desks or something. I don't know, like I get the weirdest comments from people online, and it's just, sometimes they're downright mean and other times they're just really uninformed. I'm trying to be very nice with the choice of words that I'm using because it does get quite annoying. But, you know, okay, moving on. I let my kids sleep in. I am not a fan of getting up like super early and like running out the gate. I just think it's unnecessary, especially now that the kids are older and, you know, I don't have like little ones that have to be fed at a certain time, or, you know, diapers and things like that. I have older kids now, and, you know, especially for my oldest, he's only going to have a couple more years where he's going to even be able to enjoy sleeping past 8 o'clock in the morning. So I figure, let him do it. You know, who cares? People get so shocked when they find out that we don't start school like at 7 o'clock in the morning, which I always find really weird, because it's like, but don't we homeschool so we have that option? You know, I don't know, like sometimes it's so hard for me to keep my mouth shut, but we homeschool so we don't have to follow the rules of, you know, when the school down the street opens their doors. You know what I mean? Like, one of the perks of homeschooling is you get to sleep in. Like, that's like one of the best things about it. So no, I don't make my kids wake up like right at 8 a.m. to start school. Like, I don't do that, no. I like to sleep in. I like to take my time in the morning. I like to have my coffee and my breakfast, and I like to work out and take my shower, and I have a morning routine that I like to get done before I'm running all over the place. So yeah, I let them sleep in and I don't care. I just really don't care about what people say on the internet anymore. So I let my kids decide what order they want to do school in. I do not dictate what subjects they do when during the day. So as long as they get everything done, I don't care what order they go in. They can do whatever order they want. And I've done this since pretty much the beginning. And honestly, it helps keep a lot of harmony. Now, there's been some years where we get into kind of like a routine, and usually after the first couple weeks of school, they kind of figure out like what order they like to do things in. And sometimes it's the order that I just had them do it on the first day of school, and sometimes it's not. But as long as they're doing the work, I don't dictate what they do when. I just dictate whether or not it's done. And, you know, of course I oversee everything. And it's going to be a little bit different too when we're doing a class that's together. So they will have, you know, like in the morning especially, we have some of our classes that we group together on. So we get those out of the way, and then when they go off in separate directions for their own independent work, as long as they do it, I don't care when they do it. So, you know, I kind of just follow their lead on that, and I let them kind of take the reins on it. And having them be responsible for their own work really does work out well for our class, and it does really help them learn how to take responsibility and to be independent with their own studies. I am very selective with what I teach and with what I outsource, and I am not afraid to outsource things. And sometimes I take some stuff from people on the internet over that, but you know what? It works for our family, and some classes I teach myself, like science, and other classes I totally farm those out to places like Compass Classroom or things like that. Math is not one that I am comfortable teaching. So I totally use teaching textbooks for that, and I have no guilt, zero guilt over outsourcing math, because I know they will do a much better job than I will. So, and my kids are actually really good at math, and I feel like I would do terrible trying to teach them. So I know my own strength. I know where I'm good. I know where I need help. And math is one of those things I need help on. So, and you know, I like to outsource these classes too, especially when they get into those higher grades, because they're going to get a better variety of teachers and different teaching styles. And when they go to college, they're going to have more than one instructor. So it's a good idea for them to start getting used to different instructors and seeing different teaching styles and learning how to adapt to those instructors. So I think it works out well. I have no guilt at all over that, and I really don't care if that's unpopular or not. I know some people love to teach all of the classes. I don't. And I don't have time for it either. I feel like I would be pulled in so many different directions. So it's just easier for my family and the way that things work to do it this way. And we do what works in my house. So I teach my kids to work independently. Now that does not mean that I'm not involved. What that means is I can have my kids do school pretty much completely on their own, but I oversee everything. So if for some reason I can't teach a class, because like I teach like Apology of Science, that's one of the ones that I teach, I can either put that class on hold if I need to, or my son knows how to get the teacher books and see what his assignments are, and he can go ahead and do his assignment. So for example, the last 2 weeks, my husband and I, we were really sick. We got like this nasty chest cold. I had no voice. The only thing that we could really do was concentrate on taking care of ourselves. My kids didn't really get it. Like, they got the sniffles, but that was it. They were fine. it was me and my husband. We were just like, it was like the congestion and all that not fun stuff, you know. And my kids decided that they did not want to take 2 weeks off of school, that they wanted to go ahead and just keep doing school. So basically I would lay on the couch and they did school pretty much on their own independently. Now I did all the oversight, you know, I helped them find the materials that they needed. I graded their papers and things like that. And I was still managing the homeschool, but I didn't have to teach the classes if I didn't want to, because my kids have learned through me how to be independent, how to take initiative with school and get it done when they need to get it done. So if for some reason something happens like that, you know, I get sick, my kids are totally capable of doing school on their own. And that's one of those skills that I taught them very early on, just for cases like this, just in case they needed to. And while it's not the most ideal situation, and it's, you know, like the mom guilt sometimes would get to me, you know, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. You know what I mean? I mean, teachers get sick. It just happens. You know, it's just like having a substitute teacher in the public schools. You know, sometimes they just have to wheel in a movie for an entire week because the teacher got sick, you know. But this way they could at least keep up with their studies and things like that. And we always give them the option, like, you know, do you want to take a couple days off and wait for mom to be better? You know, that type of thing. But it worked out, you know, it did. It worked out, and now we're, you know, my husband and I were back on our feet. We're back to, you know, regular life again. But, you know, sometimes these things happen, and, you know, you have to adjust to them. So not always the most popular thing, because I get called lazy and all kinds of things by people on the internet because I'm not teaching the classes, and, you know, I will get the craziest comments from people. Honestly, I just don't care. They're not in our homeschool. They don't understand what's going on. And most of the time when people make those kinds of comments, they have no clue what homeschooling even is. They just know that they don't like it and they want to yell at somebody about it for whatever reason. So, you know, I tend to take stuff like that with a grain of salt, and, you know, I kind of just let it roll off my back. But yeah, it's not the most popular thing to admit to doing on the internet. But hey, you know, I like to keep it real over here, because I know that, you know, you guys are going to get sick too. And you guys probably want to know, like, what do I do when I get sick? You have plenty of options. You can have the kids work independently. You can do what I do, what I call couch schooling, and I do school on the couch sometimes. Or you can just totally take a break for a week. I mean, how many times did the public school teachers roll in a movie for, you know, an entire week? I think one week we watched like Pocahontas and Aladdin on repeat in one of my elementary schools because we had a sick teacher. So it's not like this does not happen in public schooling too. It does. And, you know, sometimes they just have to figure it out. And, you know, when you get sick in your homeschool, sometimes you just have to figure it out too. All right, guys, that's all I have for this video. Hopefully you were able to glean something or have a laugh with me about the funny things that people have a fit about on the internet. People really do surprise me sometimes, but, you know, I don't know. People are just weird on the internet. Like, they would say stuff to me on the internet that they would never say to my face. And I think that makes them, like, emboldened to say, like, the most outlandish things. Usually it's because I'm Christian and we use Christian materials, and then they just yell at me about being a Christian. I get that one on a daily basis anymore, but that's okay. You know, I don't worry about it too much. But people are people. I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and happy homeschooling.